So welcome. Thank you very much for having me and for coming tonight. So Dr. Thrower asked me to do a presentation on wellness. And so I thought, yes, absolutely, wellness. I know wellness. I'm the MS Rehab and Wellness Manager here at Shepherd Center. So I can come and talk about wellness, and I'm going to talk about exercise, and I'll talk about why it's important to get exercise, and I'll even talk about some of the current research that's coming out about the benefits of exercise. And then Debbie Foreman from the MSF called me, and she said, "Hey Anna, I'm making your flyer for the presentation, and just curious, what's the definition of wellness?" And I realized in that moment that I didn't actually know an exact definition of wellness, so I started doing some research. And as it turns out, I mean, we all know, wellness has quite a history and has had a path and has taken lots of turns as it has developed. So tonight our goals are to talk about what does wellness actually mean, to talk about some of the dimensions of wellness and models of wellness that exist, and perhaps most importantly, come up with a plan for us all to become more well based on one of those models. You have a handout in front of you. You do not have to do anything with that yet. And if you need an extra one, Derek has some. But I'll let you, that's where we're going to develop our plan as we go. So the National Wellness Institute defines wellness as an active process through which people become aware of and make choices towards a more successful existence. I like this definition because it talks about process. And you can also think about journey. So I don't think there's many of us in this room right now who can say, socially, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and physically, I'm all good. I got it. There's none of those areas that I can improve in. If you feel like that, you probably aren't going to get anything out of this presentation. But if you're like most of us and you feel like maybe there's one of those areas in which you can improve, that's what wellness is. And I also like that it uses the word choice because we have control over our wellness. This is a video, which I'm not going to show, but you're definitely encouraged to watch it later. It is a 60-minute television show with Dan Rather, filmed in 1979, about wellness. And he starts by saying, wellness, there's a word you don't hear every day. Well, now more than 3 decades later, it's obviously a word we hear all the time. And wellness has taken quite a path, as I mentioned before. In fact, I would say around the 70s, wellness sort of had this hokey connotation. Wellness is alternative medicine. It's not really something we talk about in the scientific medical world. Since then, fortunately, we've come very far and realized that wellness, to me, wellness is the most important aspect of your health. More recently, a man named Donald Ardell has been talking about something called real wellness. REAL stands for reason, exuberance, athleticism, and liberty. And what he talks about is that wellness should be done for a pure reason, meaning you shouldn't strive to be well to lose weight or to strive to be well to live longer. You should strive to be well because you genuinely want to be a more well person. And what that means exactly is wellness is an exploration of reason, exuberant living, and expanding personal freedoms, all in the service of increasing your quality of life. That is real wellness. The relationship between health and wellness is interesting just to sort of mention. The World Health Organization defines wellness as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And wellness is the quality of state of being in body and mind, especially as a result of deliberate effort. So again, we're talking about wellness is an effort, and wellness is the quality of your state of being. Health is a state of a body, wellness is a state of being. So I mentioned the models of wellness, which is what we're going to talk about right now. As you can imagine, there are tons of models of wellness that exist in the world. Tonight we're going to talk about this one, which is the National Wellness Institute's model, and this model, which is the University of Nebraska's model. I included a few others just because I think they offer important things, and if you have questions about those, I can refer you to those later, but we don't have enough time to talk about all of these models. Before we go into depth with the models, I want to talk about balance and why that's important. If I sit up here tonight and talk to you about physical exercise and increasing your cardiovascular health and exercising more, and I would not really have been talking about wellness, because what wellness is the dimensions of wellness, which we'll talk about in a second, that exist in you in a balanced state. So you cannot ignore your social health to only address your physical health, etc. So again, this is the National Wellness Institute's model of health. I like this one because it gives a really big, broad definition of what the dimensions of wellness are. So the 6 that they say are occupational, physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, and emotional. The University of Nebraska's model goes into more detail. So not only does it agree and say, yes, those are the 6 models, those are the 6 dimensions of health, they add environmental wellness, which we're not going to talk about tonight. But they say, yes, those are 6 dimensions of wellness. And then they define it a little further and give us some questions that we can ask ourselves to assess where we are within each dimension, and some suggestions for how to improve each dimension. So now you can look at your paper, and you can see that on the left-hand side are groups of questions that go with each dimension of health. And on the right-hand side, there's a portion for you to write a short-term goal. And by short-term goal, I was thinking it would be reasonable for us to say that the goals we're going to write tonight, we will all achieve by Sunday night. So today's Tuesday. So these are goals that by Sunday we can meet. You're not going to write them now. We're going to go through each dimension first. So we're going to talk about physical wellness first. Again, I feel like that's what a lot of people think of when they think of wellness, so we'll start there. But physical wellness, basically, big picture, it's better to eat good food than to not eat good food. It's better to move, and it's better to be physically fit. This model agrees. Maintenance of a healthy body through doing good stuff and avoiding the bad stuff, basically. So now on to the important questions that we're going to ask ourselves to determine where we are with physical wellness. Perhaps the most important question is, how much exercise would you say you skip each week? But really, here are the questions. So I think, on your paper, you can underline the ones that are no, or just take a mental note of any of your no's, or even if there's one of these that you feel you might not be doing as well as others. Do you know your important health numbers? Do you get an annual physical exam? Do you avoid the bad stuff? Do you get a sufficient amount of sleep? Do you have an established exercise routine? Do you know where you can go for therapy? And I added these. Do you use cooling equipment to prevent overheating? And do you know how to conserve your energy? So think about that. Are there any areas there that you could improve on? So as you're thinking about your goal, I thought I would provide some examples or some suggestions. If you're not getting enough sleep, you could get more sleep. You can monitor your sleep now with your iPhone. Check in yearly with your doctors, your therapists. You could join a wellness program. We have one of them here. If you have rehab needs, see a therapist. If you can't make it to the gym, you can do an exercise video. There are plenty of them on the MSF website. They're on a lot of websites. You could even just commit to doing something during commercials. Exactly, I see someone punching in the back there. That's perfect. Arm cycles, punches, just move, do something during a commercial break. So go ahead and take just about 10 seconds or a few seconds and think of a goal that relates to your physical well-being that you could attain by Sunday night. So by Sunday night, you're not going to run a marathon. You're not going to exercise every day until Sunday, but something that you can do reasonably by Sunday night. All right, and while we are still on physical wellness, I did want to point out that things exist that are wellness programs. We happen to have one here, which is a comprehensive wellness program that can help people with MS with a whole host of things. So the wellness program here offers group exercise classes, which help you physically. There's scoop classes, which can help you cognitively. Education series, anything you can think of, we have education series about here. Also, the MSF has it on their website. We go on outings to work on community reintegration or just being comfortable in the community. And then we also have access to a gym. So I bring this up because we have one here, but also because these exist in the community in different forms. There's also a lot of exercise physiologists from here that are going out to communities and training trainers at the YMCA on how to treat people with MS or how to deliver exercise programs to them. All right, so now we're going to move to the social dimension of health, wellness. So social simply says that it's better to contribute to the common welfare of our community, and it's better to live in harmony. It's the ability to perform social roles effectively, comfortably, and without harming others. So I wanted to first give an example of the opposite of social wellness. Because I'm launching a new anti-social network. Get out of my Facebook. So here's some questions you can ask yourself about social wellness. Do you plan time to be with your family and friends? Do you enjoy that time? Are your relationships positive? Do you explore diversity? Do you have someone you can talk to about MS who is not a healthcare provider? And have you made a new friend in the past 5 years? So again, this is on your left-hand column. You'll see these questions. Think about areas that may be a no for you, or that are areas that don't seem quite as strong as other areas. And start thinking about a short-term goal that you can attain by Sunday night. Some ideas. Exchange contact information with someone tonight. Meet a new friend. Join a wellness program. Join an MS focus group. Again, those can all be found online and in communities everywhere. Create a book club with friends with MS or friends who don't have MS. Educate someone in your extended family about MS. And simply just meet a new neighbor. So just think about something you could do by Sunday night to improve your social wellness. All right, we're going to move on to occupational or vocational wellness. The first one here, it rings very true to me, but it is better to choose a career or perform a volunteer service which is consistent with your personal values, interests, and beliefs than to select one that is unrewarding to you. And this doesn't have to mean job, as in job that you're getting paid to do. It could be a volunteer job. It could be a role that you play at an organization that you're passionate about, maybe a church or a school. So any sort of activity that gives you, that makes you feel like you're being productive. The model from the University of Nebraska defines it similarly: the ability to enjoy a chosen career and or contribute to society through volunteer activities. Questions to ask yourself. Do you enjoy going to work or volunteering on most days? Is it manageable? Do you feel like you can communicate to the people with whom you're working? Do you feel that you're contributing to society in a meaningful way? Again, that could be a church, a special group, a volunteer organization. And do you have something to do in your free time that you feel like is productive and is contributing in some way? So again, think about something you could do by Sunday to improve your vocational or occupational wellness. Some ideas. You could volunteer for an MS event or any event. You could volunteer at your favorite hospital. Love your job or love your work, even if you don't actually love your work. There's been, that sounds crazy, right? But there's been some really interesting articles, I think they're on CNN, but about how you really can love your work or love your job when you don't love your job by redefining what your role is and asking for the things that you need to feel comfortable. There are vocational counselors, and their job is to help you find this type of work. So go ahead and write your goals for occupational wellness that are achievable by Sunday. Spiritual wellness is the development of belief systems, values, and of creating a worldview. The process of self-understanding based on a set of beliefs, principles, or values that give guidance to one's actions. This type of wellness cultivates a sense of direction, thankfulness, or appreciation for life. Sort of like inner peace. So questions you can ask yourself. Do you make time for relaxation every day? Do your beliefs guide your decisions and actions? Do you feel a sense of direction, a sense of thankfulness? And are you accepting to the views of others? So think about something, where your areas of improvement could be, or any of those questions that are no's, and start thinking about a goal that you could write for yourself. Some ideas. Attend a yoga class. You already did that today, right? Chair yoga, right before we started. Make time for reflection. Again, joining a group that you're passionate about, or just learn about someone who has a different culture. Intellectual wellness. Basically, it's important to stretch and challenge our minds. It's the openness to new concepts and ideas. So questions you can ask yourself. Are you open to new ideas? Do you seek personal growth and learn new skills? Are you searching for lifelong learning opportunities and stimulating mental activities? And do you look for ways to use creativity? Do you know which types of therapists can contribute to cognitive wellness? So ideas here. You could join a book club or create a book club. Play memory games or problem-solving games on your iPhone or iPad or cards. Read or listen to a book for fun. All right, so I got myself into trouble with this one. I said travel somewhere new on your way to your doctor's appointments. That's a bad idea. Maybe it would be better to travel somewhere new on your way home from your doctor's appointments. You could educate a family member about MS. You could take this PowerPoint and present it to someone else. Or seek evaluation from a speech therapist or an occupational therapist. So go ahead and think about your goals there. What are you going to achieve by Sunday to improve your cognitive or intellectual wellness? All right, so the last dimension of health is emotional dimension of health. Basically, be aware of your feelings and try to be optimistic. It's about the awareness and acceptance of your feelings and emotions. Living in the moment. Today I will live in the moment unless the moment is unpleasant, in which case I will eat a cookie. Questions to ask yourself. Are you able to maintain a balance? Do you have ways you can reduce stress? And are you able to make decisions? Some ideas of what you could do. Seek counsel from a mental health provider. I did want to take a moment and just take a note here that depression is very common and very treatable in general, but also in the MS population. It is normal to have intimacy issues when you have MS. Talk to your healthcare team. It is normal to have relationship issues when you have MS and when you don't have MS, but that's also something you can talk to your medical team about. Also, scheduling time for yourself and recognizing how strong you are. You guys are all here right now. Just that alone is impressive, right? You made it through Buckhead traffic to get here to come to this presentation about wellness. So you're already making a really good start on your journey. So we made it through all of the 6 dimensions of wellness. Hopefully, you have some goals that you are going to attain by Sunday. I wrote my own. I'm not going to read them to you. You're welcome to read them, but to show you that I am also committed to meeting these 6 goals by Sunday. So I'm standing here right now, and I think we should all challenge each other. Let's actually do it. Let's see what happens. What happens if we try to meet those 6 goals that are based on the 6 dimensions of wellness to improve our wellness? What would happen? What would happen if you met all those goals? I'm going to read this to you because I think it's important. We should be taught not to wait for inspiration to start a thing. Action always generates inspiration. Inspiration seldom generates action. So what you have in front of you right now is an action plan. So my theory is that if you try to meet those goals by Sunday, and you will succeed, you will feel inspired, and you'll probably feel inspired to make some more goals. And now you know how to write them. It's not hard. You're not running a marathon yet. You're just doing something that takes a week to accomplish. And then you're going to see how good it feels, and you're going to write new goals, and you're going to start this new beautiful cycle of wellness. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me, and do your sheets.